Now, what are the newspapers over in England saying? Well, Mirror Sport says, gone and done it. What do we think about that? We like that.
I dig it. I dig it. It's one of the best ones yet.
The Daily Telegraph says, we're the golden guns. Oh, I love that selfie. I think that really makes it there. All right, Geoff, you poured us a little bit of bubbly. We're all celebrating with you, but please tell me how you're feeling. 22 years in the making. Nearly a fourth consecutive year where Arsenal could have finished second. How are you feeling?
Well, look, I think those pictures tell the story, and we'll see more social media stuff later. The fact the Arsenal players, they all gathered together and you saw the joyous scenes, what it means to them. And also, in that, a little bit of spice as well. Bukayo Saka saying, you know, they called us bottlers. We're holding the bottle now with the bottle of champagne. But the moment it's good. Just look at this release. That is all the pressure. That is all the tension. That's it. You're over the line. You would pay a fortune to be one of those players. Look at Gabriel. This is what it means to these players. You know, people say, oh, it's just a job. They didn't grow up supporting that club. Well, there's your answer there. Fantastic, joyous scenes because they've answered all the doubters, and the doubters had many, many reasons to question them. There were times in the season where it looked like they'd blown it. It looked like they'd gone away. It looked like it wasn't going to happen for them. But it's happened. And I love what Declan Rice posted on his Instagram. Famously after the game, I think it was the Bournemouth game, he said, it's not done. Man City, it's not done. It's not done. Today he posted, I told you, it's done.
I love it. Do you feel like just you personally as an Arsenal fan and from what we've seen from the players on social media, just this big sigh of relief, just the tension and the stress finally rolling off of you?
No, funnily enough, I don't. I just feel elated that we've won the title. You know, they've won it. The truth is, I'm delighted it's not going to Sunday. Absolutely delighted. That was, not only with the Palace game being horrendous, but also the build-up to it as well. It would have just been dreadful. And this has a great effect on Arsenal going to the Champions League final. By the way, that Arsenal game on Sunday, so Arsenal got the Champions League final the following week. Palace have a European final as well. Get onto buckets. There will be zero yellow cards, probably no goals.
Take the under.
It's the nobody cares final.
So we're going to see Max Dowman captaining the team versus Palace's version of Max Dowman,
That's exactly it. Arteta's legacy. Where do you think it is now after him finally being able himself to have gotten the job done?
Geoff, you said something when Arsenal booked their place into the Champions League final that I think really struck with me of what it meant to the Arsenal fan base and to Arsenal just believers all over the world. And you said Mikel Arteta has turned Arsenal from doubters into believers. But for me, I'll take it one step further. With this Premier League title, in my opinion, Arsenal have been fighting for a seat at the table of who is a big boy in the Premier League. Liverpool and City, they've owned the Premier League for the last decade. But Mikel Arteta writes his name in club history alongside Arsène Wenger, which he followed a familiar track where it took Wenger 3 years of finishing second place with Arsenal before finally getting it over the line and beating the biggest club in England at the time, which happened to come from the city of Manchester as well. It just happened to be Manchester United.
Your question to Mikey was, how does this affect his legacy? It changes everything. It changes the narrative completely. They didn't win it this season. There would be big question marks over him the start of next season. I don't think that the club would have got rid of him. They'd have backed him. But, Stefano, you must agree, it does a 180 in terms of how he's viewed.
Without a doubt. And I think that it's even more than that. I think it proves that consistency in the manager room, consistency with a project in this era of football now where we don't see managers last more than a few months on the job at some points and at some clubs. It's proof that sticking with your guy, sticking with a project can pay off in the long run. Despite, there's a lot of clubs that are impacted and affected by the noise that surrounds this club, whether it's social media, whether it's in the media itself, in the press, and all of that pressure ramping up. A lot of clubs that would have said, well, let's cut our ties and move on to the next manager, because that's what football has become now with the manager position all around Europe, all around the world, really. And this is proof that if you stick to a project, if you truly believe in it and be patient with a manager who is trying to build something, it can pay off in the end. For me, the word is resilience. This team is resilient as ever. not playing maybe the style that everyone wanted them to play, not playing, outlandish football where they go out and score tons of goals. No, they did what was important to them, what got them the results that they needed. They had an incredible backline. For me, the word is resilience with this team. Despite all of the noise, despite all of the social media jokes, despite all of that, they focused in, they blocked out that noise, and they were able to get it done. So for me, like I said, that word for them this season, resilience.
I would just refer to the famous apocryphal story which was put to Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan, the golf champion, he won a tournament, and one of the reporters said to him, it wasn't the greatest out there today, your golf, was it, even though you won? He said, excuse me? He said, well, a few times you were in the rough, you had to hole out. Wasn't best ever golf. Hogan looked at him and said, could you remind me, are we playing how or how many? Arsenal are the champions. End of.
Yep. They got it done no matter what. Lahoud.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had people who had called me, and plenty of Arsenal friends, and I'm still getting messages from Arsenal.
Not going to stop. Not going to stop.
Because I've been amongst many people who've been critical, and you've pushed back on me about what this title means and how Arsenal can do it. So I'm willing to admit I got it wrong. I even said that City was going to go to Bournemouth and get a result, and maybe I was a bit stubborn about this. But afterward, I was thinking on the drive in today, what does the word champion mean? And when I looked through the definition, it says the definition of a champion is a person, team, entity that defeats all rivals. It's also a defender of a cause or of a belief. When you ask the question about Mikel Arteta's legacy, what Mikel Arteta has done with Arsenal is he has defended a cause for Arsenal fans that were used to the debacle, the 10 goals against Bayern Munich. They were used to the 8-2 against Manchester United. They were used to Baku in the Europa League. And now he's come back full circle, and they are the champions of England. So it's just amazing to see what football can be.
Congratulate Arsenal, Mikel, staff, backroom staff, fans for this Premier League, well deserved. At the same time, for my manager career, one of the years that we fought the more with the incredible things that we could not control, and we were there, never give up. I would have loved to have in the last moment, to try. Of course, it wasn't in our hands, but today the fatigue was there. So with our club, always I talk, but not now. So 3-4 seasons ago, when it was 1 year left, so we didn't extend on that. Because the first thing you have to understand, you should talk with my chairman first, right? And after that, when I talk with my chairman, so we decide to have 1 more year. We talk everything, and we'll decide.
What was this City side lacking? Because we truly thought it could maybe go until the end of the final match day.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go all the way to the end of the road. There's a theme with Manchester City when you look at each and every game where the title or the league or the season just felt like it wobbled a bit. And you can go back to the game at the Hill Dickinson, where I think that is the game. And people will say the result is Bournemouth, but that was the moment where Manchester City, without a fully fit Rodri, coming off the heels of the Arsenal game, where I thought him and Bernardo Silva were outstanding, it just felt like that was the biggest crack in the pavement, where City lost their focus, they lost their edge, but most importantly, they lost control of the title. And people are going to think of the Marquez slip, but there was just something eerie about that day, that night, that when City players look back on it and Pep Guardiola looks back on it, they bottled that moment.
It's what we expect of Manchester City. But because it's Manchester City and Pep Guardiola, we hold them to such extraordinary standards. I personally find it difficult to criticise anything. We are coming to the end of an era. It's not even an open secret. It's all but confirmed that Pep will be leaving. So to done what he has done with the teams and the amount of teams that he has built and rebuilt. One thing I did find a little bit strange. Remember early in the season they went to the Emirates and got a draw.
Yeah.
And they covered up.
Celebrated.
They covered up, and I thought it was a very unlike City, an un-City-like, unambitious type of performance. But where normally they'd go and make a statement. But the other thing I would say as well, we'll talk about Arsenal have beaten not necessarily a vintage City. If Arsenal win on Sunday, they'll finish with more points than Liverpool won the title last season. So it's not like Arsenal haven't beaten anybody.
Mm-hmm.
This is a more, it's not the best Manchester City team, but they're no mugs.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best Manchester City team last year as well. So
No.
you're seeing it's been a trend now downwards. You just don't expect to see 2 seasons in a row of a Pep Guardiola Man City side not have that success. So it's new, and it is the end of an era. So it is a moment where you're seeing things change with this club.
Yeah, and with reports saying Enzo Maresca set to take over next year, it'll be interesting to see if they keep going down or if he can start changing things around.
Big shoes to
team.
fill, Claudia.
Huge shoes. I wouldn't want that job. It's very tough. How was it, and how nervy did it start getting when Haaland got the equalizer at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I think it had been nervy like right the way through. I wasn't actually at the Emirates until after the full-time whistle. Just, I was sort of supposed to be going to Chelsea, Tottenham, but I just had a bit of a feeling that something was going to happen. And then I sort of remember opening my front door at the final whistle, and there was just a sort of eerie quiet for a moment, and then you sort of heard the first car honk, and then the next, and then the next, and I live 20 minutes walk from the ground, and every sort of front door was being flung open. People were just walking to the Emirates with no sense in particular as to why they were going there, what they were going to do, how they might celebrate, how many people might be there. And so sort of in a matter of minutes, it went from a couple of hundred to, I don't know, over 20, 30,000, I would think. I mean, and the party was going long into the night. It genuinely was the nearest I sort of... Yeah, into the morning. Well, I mean, it genuinely is the nearest I felt outside of Glastonbury to being at Glastonbury. It was like a festival. I mean, there were some guys on the drums who were like it was like they were playing the Pyramid stage, conducting chants to Gabriel, Eza. The party's still going. I was wandering around this morning, and people kind of would just sort of grin at each other, and you're like, yeah. We know what you've been up to. A few bleary eyes as well, I have to say, that I saw this morning.
So as you were looking for a pub to open at 10 this morning, did you see, James, I loved it, the London Evening Standard put out a nice video. They literally just showed at the final whistle a pan across North London. The final whistle goes, and you just hear this huge roar from all the houses and apartments that it's done.
It was the most beautiful sight and scene. Kind of every person you saw had this grin on their face. Everyone was bouncing. My personal highlight, which I didn't get on video, so people will think this didn't happen. I promise it did. Sort of walking back home this morning, and there was a sort of woman of an age where I think it's impolite to speculate about a woman's age. And she looked a bit like, kind of as she was walking down the street, I was like, she looks like someone that's annoyed that she's been kept up half the night by Arsenal fans celebrating. And a few supporters walked past, and out of nowhere, she just pulled out a little bottle and started doing that Man City fan thing.
You mean this one, James? You mean this one?
I mean that bottle. I tell you, those bottles, which Jeff, you can attest, like, you 10 a penny at the Emirates. They are gonna. If you've got one of them, put that on eBay, and you'll be a millionaire before you know it.
JB, we've known each other for quite some time now, and I was watching you on Scoreline yesterday, and I think you had a quote that just captured the moment and captured your sentiment. And you usually don't open up about being an Arsenal fan, but the cat's out of the bag. You are an Arsenal fan through and through. You said, "This is sweeter than the Invincibles. It's also sweeter than whatever pub I'm going to end up in tonight." What else are you going to tell your grandkids or your kids or their kids' about what this title means for you and the club and the fan base as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, it's really sweet. I was born in 1989, so I was born when Arsenal were champions, and
I was behind the goal.
Fingers crossed, that's a story, Jim. And yeah, fingers crossed, I'm going to be able to sort of share that with my daughter when she arrives in July. That she was born when Arsenal were champions. And I mean, what I would sort of say to them as well is, like, between the ages of about 7 and 13, I sort of normalised the idea that what happens at the end of every season is Arsenal win the league. Maybe they win the double as well, or, they get a special gold trophy because they're that good. And, even for a team as big as Arsenal, it's not normal. It's not normal to wait 22 years, but it's also not normal to have the success that they enjoyed tonight and that they enjoyed, in Arsene Wenger's pomp. And you've got to savour it. You've got to drink it in, quite literally. I think this might be the first of several trophies in the next few years, and I'm going to really determine myself to enjoy every single one of them as much as I enjoyed last night and as much as I enjoyed the Invincibles.
Very, very quickly, you saying that. My son, who's 25, avid Arsenal fan, we're going to the Champions League final together. I remember when he was about 10, he turned around to me, he said, Dad, why did you make me an Arsenal fan? Right? We never win anything. And we just come off the Wenger glory years. And I'm looking and thinking, don't worry, we'll win next season, something like that. So exactly to your question and to James's point, for some Arsenal fans, this is the first time ever, first in a generation. It's brilliant.
They still have a massive match to kick on here in a couple of weeks. What does this win do for the team's confidence going into the Champions League final and beyond, and for next season as well? The belief that the fan base have and that the players and the club have after finally getting that relief off and winning this first trophy in such a long time.
I without wishing to sort of put the wrong framing on this, I almost think it's, if you flipped it around and if Arsenal hadn't won the league, this Champions League final would be terrifying. No other way of putting it, because you would kind of think 4 years without trophy, it might never end. But you've achieved something that felt beyond Arsenal even 4 or 5 years ago. So you get to go at that final, enjoy it, celebrate getting there, celebrate the moment, and play without fear. And that certainly means that I think Arsenal will be a better team in Budapest than they would have been if they hadn't won the title.
James, quick answer before you go. Make my day even better if possible. Tell me Timber has a chance of being fit for the final.
He has a chance. That's all I can say.
I love you that a little bit more.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.